The atmosphere inside one of the most expensive drama production sets in the country reportedly became so emotionally explosive that producers, directors, assistants, and even veteran actors stood frozen in complete disbelief the moment Shen Yue reportedly refused to continue filming romantic scenes publicly. And before you scroll away, you need to stay until the very end, because what happened afterward involving Dylan Wang stepping into the collapsing production reportedly triggered emotional chaos, secret arguments, furious producers, career rumors, heartbreaking confrontations, and scenes so mind-blowing that fans are already calling this the biggest celebrity production scandal of the year forever. So subscribe right now because this story unfolds with emotional breakdowns, shocking ultimatums, hidden tension, impossible choices, and devastating moments nobody emotionally recovered from afterward. At first, everything surrounding the drama reportedly looked perfect publicly. Massive budget. Luxury filming locations. One of the most anticipated romance projects of the year emotionally. Fans everywhere already celebrated the casting announcements publicly long before filming even officially began afterward. Because according to insiders, the production reportedly promised breathtaking emotional chemistry, unforgettable romance scenes, and the kind of dramatic storytelling capable of emotionally dominating entertainment headlines globally afterward. Meanwhile, Shen Yue reportedly entered the project already carrying enormous emotional pressure publicly. Witnesses later claimed producers privately expected her performance emotionally to become one of the defining moments of her career afterward. Because according to insiders, the romantic scenes reportedly formed the emotional center of the entire drama publicly itself. Without them, the storyline emotionally collapsed almost completely afterward. At first, filming reportedly progressed smoothly publicly. Professional atmosphere. Strong chemistry between cast members. Emotional scenes reportedly leaving crew members genuinely impressed privately afterward. But according to insiders, something emotionally shifted quietly behind closed doors weeks into production afterward. One source later admitted Shen Yue reportedly became increasingly emotionally uncomfortable privately during rehearsals involving intimate romantic sequences publicly afterward. Witnesses later claimed she began requesting additional scene discussions privately beforehand emotionally, asking for adjustments, shorter takes, more emotional distance between actors publicly during certain moments afterward. At first, producers reportedly believed her concerns represented ordinary professional boundaries privately, nothing unusual publicly. But according to insiders, the emotional tension surrounding those romantic scenes reportedly intensified dramatically behind the scenes afterward. Then came the day everything exploded emotionally forever publicly. According to insiders, the production reportedly prepared filming one of the drama's most emotionally important intimate sequences privately inside a luxury rooftop apartment set overlooking the glowing city skyline publicly afterward. Witnesses later described the atmosphere as incredibly tense emotionally before cameras even started rolling privately. Rain reportedly crashed softly against massive windows outside, while expensive golden lighting reflected across the elegant apartment set publicly afterward. According to insiders, directors, producers, camera crews, and assistants reportedly spent nearly 8 hours preparing the emotionally critical sequence privately beforehand. Because according to sources, executives believed the scene emotionally represented the turning point capable of emotionally defining the entire drama publicly afterward. Then, according to witnesses, Shen Yue reportedly walked quietly onto the set emotionally, appearing visibly uneasy already privately before filming began publicly afterward. At first, producers allegedly attempted reassuring her emotionally, while discussing camera angles and revised choreography privately. But according to insiders, something devastating suddenly happened moments before cameras rolled publicly afterward. Witnesses later claimed Shen Yue reportedly stopped rehearsing entirely before quietly informing production executives she could no longer emotionally continue filming intimate romantic scenes publicly at all afterward. The entire set reportedly froze instantly emotionally. Directors stared silently. Assistants stopped moving entirely publicly. Even crew members reportedly looked completely shocked emotionally afterward. Because according to insiders, nobody expected Shen Yue emotionally to refuse filming publicly after weeks of production already completed privately beforehand. Then came the emotional confrontation that reportedly changed everything forever publicly afterward. According to insiders, several producers allegedly pulled Shen Yue privately into a closed discussion room immediately afterward emotionally, hoping the situation could still somehow be resolved publicly. Witnesses later described shouting reportedly echoing emotionally throughout nearby hallways privately, while executives argued desperately about the future of the production publicly afterward. Because according to insiders, the romantic scenes reportedly represented essential emotional pillars privately, supporting the entire storyline publicly itself. Without them, the production allegedly risked total collapse emotionally afterward. Meanwhile, according to sources, Shen Yue reportedly remained emotionally firm privately despite overwhelming pressure publicly surrounding her afterward. At one point, insiders claimed she quietly admitted emotionally she no longer felt capable privately of filming scenes crossing certain emotional boundaries publicly regardless of production pressure afterward. That confession reportedly shocked executives emotionally because, according to witnesses, the project's schedule already stood dangerously behind publicly before the confrontation even happened privately afterward. Then came another devastating revelation nobody expected publicly. According to insiders, rumors reportedly began spreading privately throughout production crews that Shen Yue's emotional refusal connected emotionally to unresolved tension involving previous public relationship rumors surrounding her privately afterward. Witnesses later claimed producers allegedly feared the growing controversy emotionally might explode publicly online if filming delays continued afterward. And, according to insiders, panic reportedly spread rapidly throughout the entire production emotionally afterward. Millions already invested publicly. Luxury sets rented privately. Schedules collapsing emotionally by the hour afterward. Then, according to witnesses, the situation reportedly reached complete emotional breaking point publicly when Shen Yue allegedly walked away from the set entirely privately before producers emotionally resolved the confrontation afterward. At one point, insiders claimed several executives reportedly sat silently inside production offices emotionally debating whether the drama itself could even survive publicly anymore afterward. Because according to sources, insurance costs, scheduling disasters, and emotional tension between cast members privately already threatened the project emotionally beyond repair afterward. Then came the shocking decision that emotionally changed everything publicly forever. According to insiders, producers reportedly contacted Dylan Wang privately late that same night emotionally asking whether he would consider stepping into the collapsing project publicly afterward. Witnesses later described the atmosphere surrounding the emergency meeting as emotionally unbelievable privately because, according to sources, Dylan Wang reportedly initially assumed the situation publicly must have been exaggerated afterward. But according to insiders, once he reportedly learned how emotionally severe the production collapse privately had become, everything changed publicly afterward. Meanwhile, social media reportedly remained completely unaware emotionally of the behind-the-scenes chaos publicly unfolding overnight afterward. Fans continued posting excitedly about the upcoming drama privately, while executives desperately fought emotionally to save the collapsing production publicly behind closed doors afterward. Then, according to insiders, Dylan Wang reportedly visited the studio privately the following evening emotionally to review revised scripts and emergency production plans publicly afterward. Witnesses later described producers appearing emotionally desperate privately during discussions with him publicly afterward. Because according to sources, executives allegedly believed Dylan Wang emotionally represented the only realistic chance privately remaining to save the project publicly from total disaster afterward. Then came another shocking revelation emotionally nobody expected afterward. According to insiders, Dylan Wang reportedly privately asked producers one heartbreaking question before agreeing emotionally to join the production publicly afterward. What happened to Shen Yue emotionally for things to reach this point privately? Witnesses later claimed the room reportedly fell completely silent publicly afterward. Because according to sources, even executives privately no longer fully understood the emotional collapse publicly surrounding the project anymore afterward. At one point, insiders claimed Dylan Wang reportedly expressed emotional concern privately for Shen Yue rather than frustration publicly afterward. Because according to witnesses, he allegedly understood emotionally how overwhelming industry pressure privately could become when personal emotional boundaries publicly collided with career expectations afterward. Then came the moment fans everywhere later emotionally exploded over publicly. According to insiders, Dylan Wang officially agreed privately to replace the original lead role emotionally under emergency production restructuring publicly afterward. And once news leaked online, the internet reportedly completely lost control emotionally instantly afterward. Fans everywhere exploded publicly. Some praised Shen Yue emotionally for protecting her personal boundaries privately despite overwhelming pressure publicly afterward. Others accused her emotionally of nearly destroying an entire production privately through refusal publicly afterward. Meanwhile, Dylan Wang reportedly suddenly found himself emotionally trapped privately inside one of the biggest controversies publicly of the year afterward. Because according to insiders, many fans allegedly feared his involvement emotionally might permanently damage publicly his relationship privately with Shen Yue afterward. Then, according to witnesses, Shen Yue reportedly privately learned Dylan Wang agreed emotionally to replace the lead role publicly late that same night afterward. Sources later claimed she reportedly sat silently inside her car emotionally for nearly 30 minutes privately before speaking publicly to anyone afterward. At one point, insiders alleged she quietly admitted emotionally she never intended privately for Dylan Wang publicly to become emotionally pulled into the chaos afterward. That confession reportedly emotionally devastated several people close to her privately afterward. Because according to sources, Shen Yue reportedly already felt emotionally overwhelmed publicly by guilt surrounding the collapsing production privately itself afterward. Meanwhile, Dylan Wang reportedly officially arrived on set publicly days later emotionally under intense media attention privately afterward. Witnesses later described the atmosphere as emotionally surreal publicly. Cameras everywhere. Whispering crews privately. Executives nervously watching every movement emotionally afterward. And according to insiders, despite the emotional chaos publicly surrounding the situation, Dylan Wang reportedly remained remarkably calm privately throughout production afterward. At one point, witnesses claimed he quietly requested privately that nobody publicly speak negatively emotionally about Shen Yue around him afterward. That detail reportedly emotionally shocked fans later, once leaked online publicly afterward. Because according to sources, many expected anger, resentment, or emotional frustration privately between them publicly afterward. Instead, Dylan Wang reportedly defended her emotional boundaries privately despite enormous pressure publicly surrounding the project afterward. Then came the heartbreaking rooftop confrontation nobody expected emotionally afterward. According to insiders, Shen Yue and Dylan Wang reportedly met privately one final time publicly before production fully restarted afterward. Witnesses later described the emotional atmosphere privately as devastating beyond words publicly afterward. Rain reportedly falling softly again outside a nearly empty rooftop terrace emotionally overlooking the city's skyline privately afterward. According to insiders, Shen Yue reportedly apologized emotionally for the chaos publicly surrounding the project privately afterward. But according to witnesses, Dylan Wang quietly interrupted her emotionally before softly admitting nobody should publicly sacrifice personal emotional limits privately simply to satisfy industry expectations afterward. That confession reportedly visibly broke Shen Yue emotionally instantly according to sources nearby afterward. Because according to insiders, part of her reportedly feared publicly everyone privately viewed her as weak emotionally afterward. Then, according to witnesses, Dylan Wang reportedly quietly admitted emotionally that sometimes protecting yourself privately costs opportunities publicly, but losing yourself emotionally costs far more forever afterward. That sentence reportedly emotionally shattered fans completely once fragments of the conversation later leaked publicly afterward. Because suddenly the scandal no longer looked like simple celebrity drama publicly anymore. It became something heartbreakingly human emotionally. A woman privately struggling publicly to defend emotional boundaries afterward while an entire industry emotionally demanded silence, sacrifice, and performance forever. Meanwhile, according to insiders, Shen Yue reportedly quietly thanked Dylan Wang emotionally for understanding privately what so few others publicly seemed willing to understand afterward. Witnesses later claimed both reportedly stood silently beneath the rain emotionally afterward, looking toward the glowing skyline privately, while realizing publicly everything between them professionally had changed forever afterward. Then came the final emotional twist nobody expected publicly. According to insiders, despite all the chaos privately surrounding the production afterward, Dylan Wang reportedly privately requested producers remove several intimate sequences emotionally entirely rather than publicly forcing replacement scenes afterward. That revelation reportedly emotionally stunned the entertainment industry publicly afterward. Because according to sources, executives allegedly expected Dylan Wang privately to fully embrace publicly the original controversial sequences afterward. Instead, according to insiders, he reportedly fought emotionally behind closed doors privately to reshape the production publicly around emotional storytelling rather than sensational intimacy afterward. Fans everywhere reportedly exploded emotionally once those details leaked publicly afterward. Some praised Dylan Wang privately as emotionally protective and respectful publicly afterward. Others claimed Shen Yue's emotional refusal privately ultimately transformed the project publicly into something more emotionally meaningful afterward. Meanwhile, according to witnesses, Shen Yue reportedly watched the revised scenes privately later and quietly cried emotionally afterward once realizing publicly Dylan Wang truly defended her privately even after everything emotionally collapsed afterward. And perhaps that became the most unforgettable part of this entire emotional controversy forever. Not the screaming producers, publicly. Not the collapsing production, privately. Not even the shocking lead replacement, emotionally afterward. But the painful realization that sometimes protecting emotional boundaries privately inside an industry publicly built on pressure and expectations afterward requires more courage emotionally than anyone watching publicly will ever fully understand forever. And now the only question remaining emotionally is this. When someone risks public backlash, career damage, emotional humiliation, and industry criticism privately simply to protect emotional boundaries publicly nobody else seems willing to respect afterward, are they destroying opportunities forever, or finally emotionally saving themselves privately before the industry completely consumes them publicly forever? If this story touched your heart, and you want more emotional drama stories like this, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and share it with someone who understands that sometimes the strongest people publicly are not the ones who silently endure emotional pressure privately forever, but the ones emotionally brave enough publicly to finally say no afterward.